right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell! Give 'em a hand! And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
Mets and baseball fans, thanks so much to everyone being here. I apologize for the delay. I'm literally always delayed when it comes to starting these streams. It's not purposeful, guys. My software just really can be a pain in the neck sometimes, but no less, we got figured out. We're here. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for chiming in for another episode of New York Mets Talk. Finally, we got Richie back here. So I see Dave, my man, Dave Kaplan, an amazing subscriber on the channel. Always appreciate you, Dave. I'll give you a big shout out here in a second throughout the stream, Dave, for all the stuff you sent me. Thank you so much, buddy. I got to email you back. Adam, Ryan, AB, Max, going down the list. Merlin, thank you all so much for being here. Jonathan, Nexus. No need to apologize, my man. Hayden, LFGM, Garden State Gardener, all you guys. Thank you so much, guys. We have a lot to talk about regarding the Brewers recap that we're going to be getting into in a second. But before we do anything, Richie, how are you, my man? I know that you were away for the holiday weekend. I hope that was great. So give me a rundown of what the past couple of days have been like for you.
Yeah, man, it's great to be back for the Mets talk. I definitely missed it. Unfortunately, I was away during the Subway Series, and I missed all you guys. We were not able to do our Mets talk segments usually that we do in between every series, but I did make a video of recapping the New York Yankees in the Mets series while I was in Colorado. It was a pretty cool scenic background, so if you guys have not checked that out, make sure you do so. And yeah, I had a great weekend with the family, went out to Colorado, chilled in the mountains, did a lot of hiking, did some whitewater rafting, had a great time escaping reality, took a little time off of content creating because I needed that. I've been really grinding out content, but I'm back to work and I'll be posting so much Mets content on Mets Media. I posted 2 videos this morning and went live last night, so expect more content here on Mets Media. It's great to be back, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in to another Mets Talk with Wardy and myself. We really do appreciate each and every one of you guys.
Absolutely, my man. Happy to have you back and happy to have all you guys back for another episode. I was out of the way. I don't know if you guys saw, but I know a couple hundred of you guys saw Richie on his channel yesterday did a last-minute live stream on the comeback win for the Mets that we'll be breaking down against the Brewers yesterday, the first half of the doubleheader. I was on for a short bit. I was in Ocean City, Maryland all yesterday as well. So, yeah, a lot of things were happening, but no less, I'm excited to get in. And Jesse, before we go anything for Jesse Biller, yes, I actually will be in Pittsburgh, and I think I'm going to the same game the 7 Line are. That Saturday game, I'm almost certain. So, yes, I do plan on being in Pittsburgh for one of those games for the first time at PNC Park, just as a heads up to anyone else possibly going. And one more thing before we get started, guys, I am going to multiple Mets games throughout the remainder of the year, but I just purchased tickets in particular for the game on September 21st in Boston. First time I'll be at Fenway. I'll be with the 7 Line. So I'm really, really excited for that. So if any of you guys are going to that game in the 7 Line, we'll be retouching that as we get closer down the season into playoff time. But if any of you guys are going to that game, please let me know. We'll gladly meet up and be a part of it. So with that being said, Richie, let's just jump right into this Brewers series, man, because look, As you guys probably know by now, the Brewers were red hot coming into the series. They won 11 straight up until their final game against the Pirates, no less the Bucks, where they lost that game. But they had 11-game winning streak, won 11 of the last 12 going into the series against the Mets. And boy, oh boy, did the Mets step up here. And for pitching matchups wise, the Mets took advantage and actually jumped on some of the best pitchers in baseball that come from this Brewers rotation. So let's just get into the first game here, man. And look at it. Mets won that first game 4-2. And what a game that was for the Amazons. Brandon Nimmo continues to do what Nimmo has done all season long when he's actually healthy. It's getting on base. It's getting multiple hits, extra base hits. This guy does it all. He was 2 for 4 on the game with a run scored. We had a Francisco Lindor who did not get a hit in this game, but he did add a run scored and 2 walks. So great eye at the plate. Dom Smith was 1 for 2 in this game with a run and an RBI scored. Pete Alonso was 1 for 4 on the day with a run scored and 2 RBIs. Michael Conforto, who has definitely been slumping, to put it lightly, since he came back from his injury, went 1 for 3 in this game, however, with an RBI, clutch RBI. And Luis Guillorme with a pinch hit hit as well, 1 for 1. And then we get into the biggest man of the hour in this entire game, and that is a guy that I know that you've been very interested in since the beginning. It is Tylor Mcgill. As you guys know, Tylor Mcgill has started twice already for the Mets, being called up thanks to injuries. And as we know, Corey Oswalt's another recent injury to starting pitching / long arm in the bullpen for the Mets. He's on the 10-day IL, if you guys don't know. But no less, Tylor Mcgill gets his 3rd start of the season, the first time not against the Braves. He pitches 5 really strong innings for the Mets, looking dominant against the Brewers. Gave up only 2 hits and 1 earned run. It's a home run, no problem. He's given up a home run in all of his games that have led to the runs for the most part. It's 7 strikeouts. Now has a 3.77 ERA in his first 3 starts as a New York Met. The 25-year-old 6'7", 240-pounder is looking great. I was listening to him after the game because if you guys don't know, on Twitter, after the game, after a win, especially the Mets have a Mets Spaces where they have everyone chime in and share their thoughts. I do it all the time. It's a lot of fun. But they even had Tylor Mcgill share his reaction to that game and just how well he's been doing really from the jump for the Mets. So that's really exciting to see. And then he had Aaron Loop, Seth Lugo, Trevor May, and Edwin Diaz all do perfect when it came to their adding in the bullpen after Mcgill. Yes, Diaz did give up 1 earned run, but he still got the save in the end, so it wasn't detrimental. And the Mets were 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position in this game 1, and they left 3 on base. So again, thank you all so much, everyone, for being here. We'll get to questions and comments toward the end. We will be taking callers at the end of this live stream after we talk about the Pirates and also Adam Frazier, a video I just did a video on. We have a lot to break down there. But Richie, what was your initial stance on this game 1 for the Mets? What a massive win it was, and with Tylor Mcgill on the mound. So far, so good.
Yeah, man, we went up against Woodruff, who is one of the best pitchers in the National League. So this is a big test for the Mets, going up against a Milwaukee Brewers team who's coming off an 11-game winning streak, first place. So it's really refreshing that the Mets are taking advantage and going up against good teams and beating them. It's not just like we're beating up on our division rivals or we're beating up on lesser competition. We're beating the good teams, going up against top-tier pitching and winning. And that tells you that this Mets team can beat anybody. They have that sense of confidence. They have an aura around them where no matter who they're versing, whether it's the greatest team in the league or the worst team in the league, they have a chance to win. And that's such a great mindset to have for this Mets ball club, because you need to be able to have confidence within each other in order to execute. And this man, Tylor Mcgill, man, his 3rd career start for the New York Mets, 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, only giving up 1 run and 2 walks and a 3.77 ERA. He's very impressive to me. It's to the point where whoever is the next man up mentality that's coming up due to injuries, whether it's from the minor leagues or we're signing someone off the street or it's AAA, single A, double A, doesn't matter. Feels like they're really good. I don't know what it is. It's whether it's the culture that Steve Cohen brought here with the coaching staff in the front office, or even the players are welcoming new players that are coming in and have to be signed due to a lot of injuries. I don't know what the case may be, but Tylor Mcgill, he looks like a solid pitcher. He looks like a guy that could be our 4th or 5th starter for the next couple of years. You know, I don't want to get ahead of myself because it's a very small sample size, but he's showing me a lot of potential. And the biggest thing that he showed me personally is his mentality, and he doesn't shy away from the big moment. He's very calm, cool, collected. And that's something that you need to look out for from a young rookie to get an MLB debut. And I don't think he was expecting to get called up this year, and he did. And the biggest thing that I'm taking away from Tylor Mcgill so far is he can strike people out. when he gets rattled, when he gets into a jam, he does not get a little he doesn't get too concerned. He's very calm, cool, collected for a young rookie, and that can go a long way. And he's in a very good rotation that he can learn from guys like Jacob deGrom, Stroman, and Walker. And I'm sure that he's probably absorbing so much knowledge from those three guys. So Tyler Mcgill continues to thrive, and I'm excited to see his season progress. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be in the rotation for the foreseeable future. Are the Mets going to acquire a pitcher at the deadline? If not, what are they going to do? I know that we're waiting for Carlos Carrasco to get healthy. We're waiting for Noah Syndergaard to get healthy. David Peterson's currently injured. So we don't know what's going to happen with the back end of this rotation, but Mcgill is definitely a positive. Then you go into the bullpen. Aaron Loop, Seth Lugo, and Trevor May all pitched 1 inning apiece and given up 0 runs combined. And then Edwin Diaz came in for the save. He gave up 1 run, but he got the job done. And then when it comes to offense, Pete Alonso, the 2 RBI double, Conforto, like you said, Wardy, he's definitely struggling. But in this game, he did have an RBI single. Dom Smith had an RBI of his own. And we hit Woodruff. He gave up 4 earned runs on us. He had, I think, a below a sub-2 ERA. Now
he had a 1.8 or 1.89 ERA going into that game. And the Mets jumped on him. I think it was 3rd time in the order. No last.
Yeah, in the 7th inning, we got all over him. He gave up 4 earned runs, and now his ERA is 2.10. And that's such a good sign, guys. I said it over and over again. We need to be able to hit against top-tier pitching, especially if we're going into the playoffs. Because when you're in the playoffs, you're playing the top, competition there is. And we know that this offense for the Mets has been so inconsistent. They are really, bottom of the league in offense, and we're still in first place, which is mind-boggling. So it's good that the Mets were able to beat both Woodruff. They even got on Josh Hader, which we'll get into the next game, and Burns. So game 1, definitely a statement game for the series.
Absolutely, man. And before I kind of share my final thoughts on this game 1, I just want to say thank you all so much to everyone being here. Appreciate the kind words. Flubber from Puerto Rico. Thank you, my man. Appreciate the kind words. I see Ball Cap, Jim, my man, another awesome baseball YouTuber I've done plenty of things with in the past and will be going forward. Hope you're doing well, my man. Michael Kane, a great member in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Everyone watching live. If you're watching live or on play-by-play right now, please do not hesitate from smashing that like and subscribe on. Again, guys, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this stream, help us get 50 likes, whether you're watching that live or on play-by-play. And also make sure to check out Richie at Mets Media if you haven't already. I don't know what the hell you're doing if you haven't, for some awesome Mets content his way, along with other channels he has as well. So with that being said, my final stances and awesome breakdown by you, Richie. This was a huge game 1, especially against Woodruff, because Corbin Burns, who we're going to be getting into in game 2, is a guy that hasn't fared as well. He's a guy that has struggled since the whole crackdown of the sticky substance. A guy that was absolutely, you could not touch this guy to begin the year. And I'm almost certain that he broke the record or was close to, I believe he broke the record going into this year of the amount of innings pitched without giving up a walk. It was ridiculous going into the season. He was just on another level. My man, Subway to Shea, happy to have you here. My awesome buddy and Anthony Rivera. Shout out to you, buddy. Everyone check out Subway to Shea podcast if you haven't. Awesome content there. He does, and he'll be back on here very soon, I'm sure. But my final stance on the matter is this was an absolute huge one for the Mets to kind of be the play setter, if you will, going into the remainder of the series to hopefully get the series won quick. And that's exactly what the Mets did. So we get into game 2. They have themselves a doubleheader, as we know, because there was a rain out. It looks like the weather, there might be a rain out again tonight for the start of the series against the Pirates, which I'm not happy about. But let's get into game 2, Richie, because this was massive. Another Jacob deGrom start. And it wasn't a stereotypical Jake start. Jake didn't give up a couple runs. And the first batter he faced, he gave up a solo bomb to. But what has Jake been so good at this year, even in times of adversity, it is bouncing back. And that's what Jake did in this ultimate 4-3 win for the Mets in extra innings, thanks to Jose Peraza. I'm so pumped. I cannot wait to talk about him some more. But Jake, I want to start with Jake before the heading, because Jake had 7 innings pitched. He gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, and 10 strikeouts. His ERA is now over 1 into 1.08. But I'm not worried because DeGrom, what did he do so well after giving up that solo shot? He retired 12 in a row. This guy just is on another level. It's effortless for him. Same thing he did against the Braves, where after he gave up the 3-piece in the first, it's like he struck at every single guy afterwards. He had 14 Ks in that game still. He had 10 Ks in this one. Double-digit strikeouts are a normality for a guy like Jacob deGrom, knowing how amazing he truly is. But now let's get into the game, what led up to this awesome comeback by the Mets. So Brandon Nimmo, once again, gained himself on base at least once. He was 1 for 4 in this game with a run scored. Francisco Lindor 1 for 4 with a run scored in an RBI. Dom Smith, 0 for 3, but did have a run scored. Pete Alonso had himself a big game for the Mets, 2 for 3. Mcneil also had a strong game. We got of course, Flying Squirrel and Polar Bear gained some action, and Mcneil was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, clutch 2 RBIs for him. Tomas Nido 1 for 2, starting catcher in this game for the Mets. And then we had Jose Peraza, who was 1 for 1 thanks to his 1-out bomb of the 7th, which is the equivalent to a bomb of the 9th, pinch hit home run to tie the game off of Josh Hader, who has been the most disgusting southpaw reliever in all baseball. This guy going into this game had a 0.55 ERA, and Jose Peraza said, "Hold my beer." Absolutely effortless what this guy was able to do. Peraza, as we stayed in your stream that we did on your channel a day or two ago, I think it was yesterday, right? I'm just so lost. He had himself at least a 500 average now in pinch hitting, or 444 to 500. He's been ridiculous. He's been so clutch. Jose Peraza coming off the bench, I love nothing more than that. And the Mets were ultimately 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position in this game and left 8 on base. And the Edwin Diaz situation, I wasn't happy about. I voiced that with you already, Richie. Diaz did give up an unearned run, but it's, again, you put Edwin Diaz in a non-save situation in extras. I get it that maybe the arms were tired from not the previous day because there was a rain out, but the day before. But still, Edwin just in non-save situations is a polar opposite pitcher than when he's in save situations. I don't know what it is about him. I'm so happy that it's not the other way around, because you need your closer to actually get saves. That's what he's doing. It wasn't a good there to give up a run that ultimately the Mets were able to come back in the end and win this one. But man, that frustrated me in the moment. It really did. I'm sure it did with you, Richie. So I'll leave you away with it. I know you watched more of this game than I did because I was away for the day. So let me hear all your thoughts about it.
Yeah, starting off with the first inning, we saw Jacob deGrom give up a solo home run to right out of the bat. It was like, like it doesn't sit with me well whenever Jacob deGrom gives up runs, because it's so rare. And when he does, it's like, no. And I'm like mad for Jake. And it's like, but it's not the end of the world, because he pivots. And like Tyler said, he retires 12 batters in a row. And Jacob deGrom only made 2 mistakes in this game. And unfortunately, those 2 mistakes led to 2 solo home runs, 2 earned runs for Jacob deGrom, and 7 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. And his ERA is now 1.08. And he also is the second fastest pitcher ever to reach 1,500 strikeouts, which is a great accolade. He had no idea he hit that when he was on the mound, and the entire crowd started cheering, and he did not know what was happening. And then he looked at the board, and Lindor told him, like, hey, throw in the ball. And then he realized, and you saw him smiling on the mound. It's great to see Jacob deGrom feel that way. And we also get news that Jake will not be participating in the All-Star game, which is interesting. I made a whole video about that on my channel this morning. So if you're interested to hear my thoughts of Jacob deGrom not pitching in the All-Star game, make sure you check that video out. But it's great to see that Jacob deGrom was, his dominant self. 7 innings, 2 runs. We can't expect him to put up zeros every single outing. He's a human being. The game of baseball is impossible to just put up zeros every time. But how about this Mets team? Because Jacob deGrom was on pace to lose. In the bottom of the 7th inning, remember, which is the bottom of the 9th in a doubleheader this year, we're losing by 1 run. And we have Josh Hader on the mound against us. And all the odds are against us. In my head, I'm like, are we seriously going to give deGrom another loss? Like, I hate it. I hate whenever deGrom gets an L, because he does not deserve it every time. But what do the Mets do? Jose Peraza, the pinch hit god, comes in here, hits a solo shot to tie the game. I'm going crazy watching the game by myself. Force extra innings. Edwin Diaz comes out there in the top of the 8th in a non-save situation, walks the bases loaded, and then he hits Christian Yelich on the first pitch, which walks in a run, but then luckily strikes out the next batter, which if that didn't happen, we would not have won this game. So kudos to Edwin Diaz to not be rattled. Obviously, he struggled by, walking in or hitting the batter in order to force in a run, but he got composed and he got back to his roots, and he got out of the inning by only giving up 1 run. And then that forced the New York Mets in the bottom of the 8th inning to get bases loaded, no outs. And who other than Jeff McNeil? Because if there's one player that needed that hit more, it's probably Jeff McNeil. Absolutely. You could have made the argument either McNeil or Conforto, but McNeil gets his first walk-off RBI hit of his career, and it was
so bizarre.
It was a beauty. Bases loaded, down by 1 run. He hits it up the middle. Dom Smith is the game-winning run on the second base. Francisco Lindor is the tying run on third base. They both score. McNeil was absolutely excited. And I was a little nervous because Jackie Bradley Jr. was at center field, and he's one of the best defensive center fielders in the MLB. Yep. So I'm like, I don't want Dom Smith to get thrown at the plate. And that was going through my head the whole time. And then you see it was a one-hopper. Dom Smith slides in. You see Dom Smith and Francisco Lindor hugging at home plate, and they all start parading. And it was just a great win from the Mets. It shows their resiliency trait. It shows their heart. You can never count this team out. It doesn't matter who's on the mound. Josh Hader was the most dominant closer in the MLB up until that point. He was absolutely perfect, 100% in save situations. But the New York Mets find a way to win against the first place red-hot Milwaukee Brewers team. And that's such a good sign going into All-Star break. Now we're going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, look, and it's funny because right after that, when you asked me my stance on how I thought they were going to do for the sweep, obviously I'm always optimistic. That did not happen, unfortunately, and that's what we're about to get into. But I don't know what it is about this team, and I said this to you already. The Mets against Southpaws, for more often than not, are looking like Randy Johnson out there. And it doesn't matter how good or bad they are. It just has stayed relevant all year long. But before we get to that slight negative, let's just appreciate how big of a series win this was for the Mets. You guys don't know, the Mets have struggled to get series wins. They literally didn't get like squat in their entire stretch against their NL East rivals, really, over the past couple weeks. They got nothing. It was either a series loss or a split. So to finally get out of the NL East a little bit, to focus up and face a Brewers team that has been red hot and do so well, that was absolutely pivotal. And I still can't get over Jose Peraza's pinch hit right there for the home run. Like, to do that off Hader, I'm like, out of all relievers that you could have done that off of, you literally did that off of one of the best guys, if not the best guy in the game right now, who has just been absolutely filthy. So I'm sure your reaction was priceless. Mine was, I saw it on my phone. I was like, no effing way. I'm like, Jose Peraza, the bench mob. What else can you say? So with that being said, guys, before we jump into the final game in this series, I want to make sure you guys are enjoying this. So if you are, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Again, help us get to 50 likes. That always means a lot, guys. I see a lot of comments and questions in here. Don't worry, guys. We'll be taking callers towards the end of the stream like we usually do if you're watching this live. And on play-by-play, I appreciate you watching no less. So Richie, you ready to get into the final game of the series?
Not really, but yeah.
We can let's just scrap this one, right? Let's just toss it away. Look, we got to talk about the highs and the lows for the Mets, okay? And this game was a low. There's no other way of pointing it. The Mets did not do anything in this game. They lost 5-0 in the series finale. The Brewers can take something to have their head high on heading into their next series, which is not against the Mets, as we know. But no less, I really wasn't too upset about it because series wins is all that matters, folks. As much as I love sweeps, as much as I would appreciate a sweep, especially a game where you think that you maybe could get some more offense out of, I'm not going to really complain all that much, knowing that a series win is a series win at the end of the day. The more you do those, the more higher chance you stay at not just consistently being the first team in your division, but really stretching out that gap between your team and the second team below you. So now getting into game 3, they lose 5-0, as I said. Francisco Lindor was 1 for 3. He had a strong series. Lindor was getting on base plenty in this series. Dom Smith was 1 for 3. Had himself a good series. Hit in all games. James Mcneil was 1 for 3. That was about it. That's literally it offensively. That's all the Mets did in this game of the 7-8 back half of the doubleheader. Robert Stock was on the mound for the Mets thanks to injuries. And if you guys don't remember Stock, Jacob deGrom went up against him. I'd say a month and a half ago for the Cubs. Stock was then DFA'd, and the Mets picked him up. And look, the Mets need pitching. Everyone's been getting hurt last minute. So we're like, all right, we're going to throw Stock in there. Look, Stock isn't even the reason why the Mets lost this game. The reason why the Mets lost this game is because they had absolutely no offense. So getting into this now, Robert Stock gave up 2 earned runs in 4 innings pitched. He now has a sub-8 ERA on the season, but again, that was his first outing with the Mets. Not like we're expecting much with him, so keep that in mind. Drew Smith, however, did give up a run in 2 innings pitched, but he still has a solid, I believe, 2.7 ERA on the year. Miguel Castro is someone that I want to take a little bit of time to talk to you about, Richie, because Castro did not perform well once again, and it's been a constant every single game. If you look at Castro, 0.1 innings pitched, he gave up 2 earned runs in this game, was only able to record 1 out to really stretch things open, lessening the Mets' chances at all of gaining anything going offensively, any momentum on their side. And I want to share this with you because Miguel Castro, I loved him going into this year. You know how much I raved about him in spring training. He looked electric. The first half of the season he was looking great. But since the crackdown of the sticky substances, unfortunately, has not boded well for a guy like Miguel Castro, who, when you look at the RPMs, has been using a sticky substance. He's been down multiple hundreds in his RPMs since that crackdown, and he's given up right around, I believe, at least 5 earned runs in 6 appearances versus him who gave up originally 9 earned runs throughout the entirety of the season up to this point. So Castro's struggling big time. The substances are definitely part of it. And as much as I'd love to turn a blind eye and say, oh, no Mets to use a sticky substance or do anything to their advantage. Look, every team in the league has it. It's just a matter of who exactly is doing it and how big of an impact it's having. And Castro is evident that he was one of those guys. So unfortunately, that's the case. So no less, Yennsy Diaz, who was acquired in the trade we got in the offseason with Steven Matz, had a good outing. He finished the game with 0.2 innings pitch, no problem. Mets were 0 for 3 runners in scoring position, left 4 on base. So Richie, let me know your quick thoughts on this final game for the Mets and specifically Miguel Castro, and if you're concerned or not for what we've seen as his ERA has now jumped past 4.
Yeah, Miguel Castro is very interesting because beginning of the year, he looked so elite. His stuff was ridiculous. The spin rate was up and the velocity was crazy. The movement was there, striking people out. He looked like another closer out there for us. And then unfortunately, you bring up a good point. Is it the sticky substance abuse that now they're cracking down on it and he was someone that was using it? We don't know, but definitely is concerning to see Castro go out there and give up a home run. Feels like every single time he is on the mound. I lost my confidence in him. Whenever I see him out there, I'm like, it's just, that's the unfortunate part about Castro is I'm losing confidence in him. But the one part about this game that I forgot to mention in my recap video that we forgot to mention in this as well, critical part, New York Mets had bases loaded, no outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. And we had the heart of our lineup up, Francisco Lindor, Dom Smith, Pete Alonso. We struck out 3 batters in a row. That's unfortunate. That was a chance for the Mets to come back. I honestly had confidence when I saw Lindor come up with bases loaded with no outs. I'm like, wow, the Mets are about to come back again. Like, there's no way. Like, if they come back, we're going to the World Series. Like, we're down 3-0. We're a grand slam. We're a home run away from taking the lead. We're an extra base hit from cutting the lead in half. And Lindor strikes out. Dom Smith strikes out. Pete Alonso strikes out. That was a pivotal part. That's definitely something we should bring up and definitely talk about. I forgot to bring it up in my recap video, and someone reminded me in the comments, and that's my fault. I completely forgot about that because I deleted that from my memory. I remember last night I was watching the game with my friends, and I saw that happen, and I literally turned the game off after that. I'm like, all right, we're not winning this game if we can't capitalize on bases loaded, no outs. So we strike 3 batters out in a row. But it's unfortunate. It's going to happen. You can't win them all. We definitely struggled in this game offensively. Only had 3 hits collectively as a team, 1 from Lindor, 1 from McCann, 1 from Dom Smith. And then, as we know, Drew Smith pitched 2 innings, gave up 1 run, and Miguel Castro looked absolutely terrible. But Robert Stock, like you mentioned, Wardy, we versed him earlier on in the season. He had his Mets debut, 4 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. I'll take that from someone that, got DFA'd from the Chicago Cubs. 4 innings and 2 runs. When going into this game, I said the only way we win is if we score a lot of runs. Like, you can't expect us to rely on our pitching in this game, and we got zeroed out. So that's the reality of that game right there.
Yeah, man. And look, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I will take the series win, no less. I'm just curious to see how guys like Castro and others that have maybe been struggling a little bit. Castro's been the most alarming, though. I think you and I can agree. No one's even really stood out like a sore thumb the way he has. All the confidence that was built with him up to the point to the season has really diminished rather quickly over the past couple weeks to a month. So we'll see what the future holds for him, but I'm wishing him the best. Hopefully he can kind of get himself grounded after the All-Star break too, which is going to help out a lot of guys, including Jacob deGrom. If you guys don't know, Jacob deGrom will not be attending this year's All-Star game. So he's advocating for Taijuan Walker to be there. Richie, I know that you did a quick video on that. So guys, check that out on Richie's channel, METS Media, if you haven't already. But yeah, that's really it, though, regarding this series recap for the Brewers, guys. So really appreciate everyone that's been chiming in for that. And for my viewers on Newsbreak, thank you so much. That was the recap for the Mets series win over the Brewers. But now let's get into the upcoming series, which is, of course, against the same team that played the Brewers last and actually ended their 11-game winning streak, believe it or not, and that is the Pittsburgh Pirates. So this is going to be a fun series. It's a 4-game set, and on paper, the Mets definitely have an advantage, to put it lightly. How big of an advantage do they have is something that only time will tell, especially with the Mets going to the All-Star break. Their minds might be in a little bit of a different place, knowing that they're going to get a break off and all these things. But if we jump right into the series against the Brewers, there's a couple things that we need to be taking of note. The Pirates. One is that the Pirates just aren't good. We know this. Unfortunately, the Pirates have an amazing ballpark in PNC Park, which I'll actually be seeing in a couple weeks when the Mets are in Pittsburgh after the All-Star break. I'll be attending one of those games. But the Pirates just aren't good. They aren't ran properly. They don't have good ownership. It's been going on for years now. It's unbelievably unfortunate when you look at how nice that ballpark is too, and how awesome a sports town Pittsburgh can be. But no less, Pirates are 32-54 on the year. They're last currently in the NL Central by far, 19 games out, no shot. And the pitching matchups are going to be very intriguing, and they are definitely in the advantage of the Mets currently when you look at how things are looking. So first game for the Mets, which should be tonight at the time of recording this, being live, or if you're watching this on replay, it looks like that we might not see this, unfortunately, though. There is a high chance of rain and storming, it looks like, Richie, if my memory's not mistaken, for really all throughout the day in New York. So I don't know if we're going to see a game today, and I don't even know if what's going to happen tomorrow, the time recording this too, because weather is not looking pretty in the tri-state area, especially in New York. But we're going to just go with the game matchups as of now that we are aware of. First game is going to be Brubaker for the Pirates, who's 4-8 on the season with a 4.09 ERA, facing off against Taijuan Walker, who should be in the All-Star game, and hopefully he can get to replace Jacob deGrom, like Jake so kindly advocated for. 7-3 on the year for Walker and a 2.44 ERA. Then the second game, it's still to be determined from the Pirates as of now who will be pitching for them. But for the Mets, it's going to be Marcus Stroman with a 6-6 record on the season with a 2.6 ERA. Marcus, who did not have a great outing in his last year round, but again, I think it definitely goes in hand with the unfortunate passing of his grandmother and having to take a leave of absence. I do think that those things go fairly hand in hand, so let's keep that in mind. But then getting to game 3 for the Mets is going to be Tyler Anderson. If you guys don't know, I've actually discussed him here on the channel WardyNYM previously. My third trade targets video regarding just starting pitching, I had Anderson as a potential depth pick because I do think he's going to be dealt by the trade deadline. He's a guy that's on a short-term deal right now, a southpaw that has a 4.39 ERA, and I know that's not beautiful, but if you're looking for strictly starting pitching depth at the time, and that this is when David Pearson was still heavily struggling and Lucchesi was not proving his worth yet with the team, we're going over a month ago now, Anderson really felt like a solid option. He might be a guy the Mets do consider should they look for strictly depth starter and maybe not something like a second or a third star. So keep that in mind, guys. But Tyler Anderson's been decent this year, 4 wins and 8 losses. And then Tyler Mcgill is who he is facing, who has yet to record his first MLB win in his 3 appearances, has no losses, and a 3.77 ERA. Then we get into the 4th game and the final game in the series. It's going to be Chase DeYoung. I'm not sure. I'm assuming he's related to Paul DeYoung. I could be wrong, though. DeYoung's a very uncommon baseball last name, so that's just my assumption. But he's 1-3 currently on the season, has a 5.08 ERA, and it's to be determined for the Mets side of things. But I have seen from Louis Rojas that we could see Jacob deGrom have a potential start this Sunday, depending on the potential rain delays and pushbacks and things of that nature. So Jake, I'm just have plugged in right now as a potential possibility. And if so, deGrom, best pitcher in baseball, 7-2 on the year, win-loss record, has a 1.08 ERA. So Richie, let me hear your thoughts on what has happened with the Mets now leading into the series against the Pirates. Do you think we're going to see a game tonight at the time of recording this? And do you think these pitching matchups are going to be fairly easy for the Mets, or do you think that maybe the Pirates will show some more than what we originally expected?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the weather right now. It says it's raining as we speak, and it's supposed to continue. It's like 50% chance at 7 p.m., and it's not looking good for the weather tonight. So we'll keep an eye out for that if the Mets will be playing tonight. It's very unfortunate that the Mets keep getting rained out. This New York weather is driving me crazy, and it's driving the entire Mets fan base crazy. And Steve Cohen's trying to be a weatherman on Twitter, and a lot of people have issues with that, but we're not going to talk about that in particular. But going into the Pittsburgh Pirates series, I think we need to expect to win this series. There's 4 games. The only way you can win a 4-game series is by winning 3 of them. And that's not too much to ask. We're going up against the worst team in the MLB, one of the worst teams, and we're coming off a series victory against the first place team in that division, and now we're going up against the last place team in that division. Now this team, the Pirates, just put up a good fight against the Braves. I think they won this series, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Braves were trying to avoid being swept last night and then went off on them. But the Pirates, they are trending in the right direction as we speak in the short term, meaning in the last week or two. The Pirates are definitely playing a little better baseball. They're still not a great team, but they're connecting. They're scoring some runs, and their pitching is doing a little better than what they've done in the beginning of the season. But that does not matter. This is a series that the Mets need to take full advantage of. We are versing them at home for 4 games before the All-Star break. We're versing them in Pittsburgh in the first series after the All-Star break. So there's no excuses. The Mets need to win. Out of the 7 games, they got to win 5 of them, minimum. They need to win 5 of the 7 games against the Pirates, minimum. If they don't, they don't. But this is a perfect opportunity for the Mets to take full advantage of, getting hot before the All-Star break. If they can win all 4, we are going to be jumping for joy. If they split it 2-2, we'll live with it. But anything below that will be a pretty big deal. So I'm looking for the Mets offense to kind of carry the load here. We're going up against a Pittsburgh Pirates team that the pitching is not that great. That's the reason why they're such a bad team. They do not have any good pitchers. The reason why they're decent is because they have a player named Adam Frazier, who the Mets are usually, or the Mets are actually interested in. Wardy just made a video about it. I know that you guys probably already checked it out, but if you guys did not, make sure you check it out. If the Mets are looking out for somebody to trade for, we'll be looking at him tonight in this entire series. So that's going to be interesting to see. He's a starting first baseman in the All-Star game, batting .326. So
second baseman.
What did I say? Second baseman.
First baseman.
It definitely meant second baseman. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. That's somebody that we'll keep an eye out for, especially that we saw the news that Frazier is a Mets target in the trade scenario. And now we get a first glance view of what he's like in person tonight if we get to play. So this series, like I said, over and over again, there's no excuses. We need to take full advantage and win this series 3 out of 4.
Absolutely, man. And before I go any further, I just want to say again, thank you to everyone being here. My man, Darren, who was able to call in last time around, the best Mets fan from the UK you'll ever meet. Hope you're doing well, my man. Love you, buddy. Thank you all so much to everyone else that's here watching live and on replay. I appreciate you guys. See a lot of comments. And okay, Paul DeYoung and Chase DeYoung are not related. Okay, that's good to know. I thought they were just because of how rare I see that name in the MLB. And I'm glad that you brought up a guy like Adam Frazier, because before we get into the Adam Frazier discussion a little bit further, separately, as you guys know, I did my video on it. Thanks so much if you have checked it out already. But let's talk about 3 players in particular that stand out to me in this series for the Pirates. And one is, of course, going to be Adam Frazier. He has a .326 average on the year. He has 4 home runs, 28 bombs, 5 stolen bases, 857 OPS. And I talked a lot more in depth in that video on him, but I'm going to share my further thoughts here. Brian Reynolds, a 26-year-old center fielder who has been an absolute stud for the Pirates. Boy, oh boy, if he does in fact get dealt at the trade deadline, my goodness, whoever gets him is getting a stud. He's one of the best outfielders in all the NL right now, actually. He has a .305 average, 15 bombs, 48 RBIs, and 3 stolen bags, and a .915 OPS, so past the 900 mark there. And then we also have Brian Hayes, who was absolutely fantastic rookie third baseman who's dealt with some injuries this year, but Hayes has been a beauty. A .269 average, 4 home runs, 17 RBIs, 2 stolen bags, and 802 OPS. So that's really all you need to know about this series in particular for the Pirates and the Mets. It's going to be a big matchup for them, but no less, I think that they have a great chance. So for everyone that watches on Newsbreak, that is going to conclude all you need to know. Hopefully, if these games aren't postponed and the pitching matchups aren't too messed up in doubleheaders between the Mets and the Pirates. But now let's get into, I want to talk about Adam Frazier in particular, guys, and then we'll get on to callers, because I'm glad you brought it up, Richie. Adam Frazier is a guy that we discussed on the channel actually not that long ago, right around a month to a month and a half ago, we actually discussed Adam Frazier. And if you guys don't know, he's kind of a really good player. No, he's not a gold glove at second base, but he brings versatility to him, as I already broke down in my video. He can play both at second base. He can play in the corner outfields. And the Mets showing interest is huge, but I'll be curious to see if the Mets are actually able to land a guy like Adam Frazier, because with him being one of the best consistent hitters in baseball right now, he's 4th best in all the MLB in both average and on base percentage. That's how good he is. But there are a lot of teams showing interest in a guy like Adam Frazier. The White Sox being the most notable. They've been in on him. There's been reports that the White Sox are really, really going in on Frazier, to be exact. And I know the San Francisco Giants have arrived as a really good suitor as well. So there's a lot of teams in the mix for Adam Frazier, and it's all going to come down to who pays the highest penny for a guy like him trade value-wise. And the Mets are not going to give up the entire farm for a guy like him. Yes, he's arbitration eligible at the end of the year, but I don't think they're going to give up a Beatty or Alvarez, as I said in my video already. When you talk about individual players, I broke that down already in my video, so check it out if you haven't. But in a nutshell, I think Frazier would be a great fit for the Mets should they land him. And yes, if the Mets do land Adam Frazier, you're more than likely going to see Jeff McNeil be pushed to third because, yes, I know McNeil is not a Gold Glove. He's not a third base guru there, but they want a bat in the lineup that can help them offensively because they have been abysmal this year more often than not, the Mets, even with their injuries. They need another guy like a Brandon Nimmo, if you will. And it's funny because Adam Frazier is so much alike with getting on base constantly, having a great eye, and he's so much like what Jeff McNeil was supposed to be going into the season. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. Definitely check out the video, no less, for a deeper analysis. And Richie, any final stance you would like to share on Adam Frazier and what he could potentially bring to the Mets? Do you like that option? Do you like it better than, say, some others we've seen some rumors about, and the likelihood of it too? Let me hear it all.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to hear that the Mets are looking to trade for someone, and we know that they're going to make a move by the end of the trade deadline, which is July 31st. And to get a guy like Adam Frazier, say hypothetically we do bring him in, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Is he going to be playing second? Is he going to be playing the corner outfield? Is Jeff McNeil going to pivot to third base? Is Jeff McNeil going to play? There's really not a lot of spots for some of these players to move to. Third base right now is Jonathan Villar and Louis Guillorme, and we're waiting for J.D. Davis. And when J.D. Davis comes back, we're assuming he's going to be the starting third baseman for some time. So say we do acquire Frazier, we're going to plug him in at second, and say we move McNeil to third base. Where's J.D. Davis going to fit in? Is he going to play the outfield? But our outfield seems pretty stacked right now. I think we like Dom Smith in left. We like Nimmo in center and Conforto in right, and then plugging in Pilar off the bench. So where's JD going to fit? Where's McNeil going to fit? So it's not an issue if we can bring him in. We have so much depth. So say that we do bring in Frazier and we put McNeil at third base permanently, and then we have JD, VR, Guillorme, and Pilar all off the bench waiting for any injuries. That's a really good deep team. So the big question is, who are they going to give up to acquire a guy like Frazier? I feel like he would provide an immediate impact to this offense that has desperately needed consistency at the plate. He is not a home run hitter at all, but he's a guy that can hit a lot of doubles, get a lot of base hits, and drive runners in. I feel like he'll be a guy you can plug in at the top of the lineup. So definitely interesting to see what they can do. I really hope that the Mets, if they do make a trade, they do not trade away their top prospects. I know that there was a report that they are not going to do that. I really hope that both Brett Baty, Francisco Alvarez, Mauricio, and these guys, I really hope we hold on to them because I don't want to give up our top prospects. So we'll see what Zach Scott and the entire Mets front office can pull off. But definitely look for the Mets to make some type of move, whether it's Frazier or not.
Yeah, and I think what was key too is, yes, the Mets are not going to unload the farm. And my final point that I want to make on Adam Frazier, and a lot of people don't seem to realize this, and I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of comments in my video and on Twitter as well when I've been tweeting about it. People really aren't understanding the potential of Adam Frazier and to put McNeil at third. And trust me, I'm not an advocate of lacking defense. That is not something I am interested in whatsoever. So I hope you guys understand that. I'm not in favor of it. But Mets have had defense money all year. The Mets have actually been one of the best defensive teams in the NL all year. They have been stellar with their shifting. What has been their biggest issue this year has actually been their offense contributing. They need more on-base guys. And if you can put Adam Frazier in second, and then you have McNeil at third, get creative with your matchups too. You can even have Frazier in the corner outfields at times where you say don't like the matchup for, say, a Conforto, if you will, or even a Dom Smith, whoever it's going to be. You can get creative about this. And if you put yourself in a scenario where, say, Jonathan Villar or Guillorme is just red hot on third, you can have one of McNeil or Frazier on the bench for a couple games. I know it's not ideal. They're everyday players, but depth is key in the game of baseball, especially today. So would I be against having Adam Frazier even off the bench at times? Should it be in the right situation? No, but it's probably not going to happen because of how well he has been this season. The guy has been money. And if you're going to give up a significant haul for him, which is what you're going to have to do from the Mets side of things, yeah, more than likely you're going to have to give up something significant, and you're going to want to play him every day. Again, I know he doesn't have the best glove out there. He makes some nice stops, but it's not consistent. But his offense is going to heavily outweigh his defensive lack of production, if you ask me. I know you're not going to have Gold Glove, but luckily we have this guy by the name of Francisco Lindor who has heavily helped the middle of that infield all season long. And the Mets haven't even had a solidified third baseman all year. If you think Jonathan Villar is a good third baseman, I have a bridge to sell you. He's been far better than expected, but the guy only had a handful of games going this year. He had plenty of throwing errors I've seen already this year. He gets a job done. And at the end of the day, that's all the Mets kind of need right now. They need to focus more on their offense. And then if they can upgrade third base, if they don't go after Frazier and they keep Mcneil on second, say they get a Chris Bryant, I'm in favor of that. I'm not against that. I'm just saying there are a lot of positives to Adam Frazier should the Mets land him. So don't view it as a negative thing. Should they get him? Trust me, they're being very strategic about their moves. The guy's making the All-Star game for his first time in his career is going to be the starting second baseman in the All-Star game too, which is awfully impressive. So just keep that in mind, guys. There's a lot of positives to Frazier. Yes, you can gripe about his defense all you want. And trust me, I'm a big defensive advocate, but I understand if the Mets land him, why they're doing what they're doing. So don't be surprised. Trust me. Mets are weighing all their options, even if they end up not getting him. But with saying that, I just want to thank my man Larry for the $2 donation twice. Thank you so much for that, Larry, for the super stickers. I really, really appreciate that, guys. So, guys, everyone give a big shout out to my man Larry here in the chat. If you're watching this live, appreciate you, brother. He's a great member on the channel, and I haven't spoken to you in a little bit, Larry. Hope you're doing well, my man. Always appreciate you being here, and always appreciate all my members and subscribers being here in the live stream, especially for Mets Talk. It means a lot, guys. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about Adam Frazier. If you want to check out my more in-depth and share a comment, I'm going to try to get back to as many comments as I can over the next day. I normally wait at least a day or so for a bunch to fill in, and then I start spamming through them all. So stay tuned for that, guys. But with that being said, Richie, is there any final stances, thoughts you'd like to make, whether it's about the Pirates series or in general about the Mets, before we take some callers and then get out of here?
Yeah, one thing I like to say is Mets fans are very unique. We are
yes, they
so reactive. We win the first two games against the Brewers, and then we get shut down last night. And you look at Twitter, and it seems like we are in last place. Like, it really is crazy. If you look at the perspective of Mets fans, they don't really appreciate the good, and when it's bad, they dramatize it like it's insane. Like, we take a breath and realize what this Mets team has accomplished so far in the first half of the season. I think we exceeded anybody's expectations when you factor in all the injuries that we had. So that's something I just want to bring up. We have a very good culture and a new regime for the New York Mets. We have a front office that are building for the long term as well as the short term. They have a vision, and I'm very excited for this Mets team in the future. So I just want to leave on that note before we take some callers, because some tweets and some even people on the radio like WFAN, that drives me crazy when they just keep holding on to the negatives and don't bring up what actually is happening with this Mets team that is like keeping us in first place. So I need to get that off my chest.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And I think it's just huge too, especially going in hand with whatever deals the Mets inevitably make. Look at how the Mets offseason went. Look at the amount of Mets fans, even including myself at times, that were really upset with them not going a certain route and then going a different route, and seeing how much this has all benefited them. The Mets would be nowhere this year if it wasn't for the moves that they made this offseason. And I can assure you that if they have a deep run this year, it will go directly in hand with the trades that they make leading up to the trade deadline. Don't be foolish, guys. I think we were kind of learning by now, over 80 games into this season, how different this regime is, how determined they are, and how bright of a future they have. This is the floor. You know, the Mets have had all these injuries. The offense is going wrong. They are still at least four games up in the division. And they're finally just now starting to get clicking. And Michael Conforto hasn't even gotten started yet. So just take that into account, guys. They have so much that's still happening. This is not a sprint. This is a race, okay? This is a marathon, all right? This is a long season, 162. You're not doing a sprint to time yourself for 60 seconds to who's the winner. It's going to take a couple hours, all right? It's going to take a while. So just keep that in mind. Trust the process, as the Sixers would famously say, even though we hate the Sixers here. But no less, that's my final stance.
It's just crazy. One more thing that
–
all we need to do in the second half is score runs in like an average way, and we will win the division with ease, and hopefully we can get that momentum and go into the playoffs and get hot, because this team is a really good offense away from being a World Series contender. That's how good we are. Pitching-wise, that's how good we are. In the bullpen, that's how good we are. Defensively, the offense has been the only thing holding this team back from having like a 10-game lead in the NL East. So I'll leave it on that note. Hopefully in the second half, we have everybody healthy. We see how much this offense has changed with Brendan Nimmo being plugged in the leadoff role. And now we're going to get J.D. Davis back, who is an offensive-minded guy. So just wait. I think Lindor, in his last 30 games, if you look at his metrics and his numbers, he's slashing around 270+. Pete Alonso's getting hot. Dom Smith is looking like he's getting hot. Jeff McNeil just had a walk-off. Hopefully that can spark something. And then Michael Conforto, he's on a contract year. So I don't know what's going on with him, but he knows if he does not get his stuff together, he's not going to get any money. So expect Conforto to start breaking out of the slump. I definitely expect him to do that. And that's a lot of players, man. We got some talent on this team offensively. It's just a matter of time. It's until everything connects. And I know that's going to happen. I genuinely believe it.
Absolutely. And that's what we've been preaching all year long. I see a comment too from John here that says we need pitching. No, you're right. That's another thing. Look, one more thing before we finally reel this up here. The Mets are going to make deals, and they're showing interest in various positions. When I talk about a player that the Mets are showing interest in, and I get replies, they need pitching. Why are we talking about it? Guys, the Mets can show interest in more than one position. I don't know if you know this. It's what they did all offseason, okay? Yes, they need a starter. They need at least one. And to be safe, probably two. As well as Tyler Mcgill has done, it wouldn't be surprising me if they add two starters. One is more solidified than the other. Carlos Carrasco and Thor, though, might damper things a slight bit on wanting to go that route. No less, I do think the Mets at least add one starter in this rotation. Like, there's literally little to no doubt in my mind. They absolutely need to. So, you got a starter. Relievers, yes, the Mets will probably add bullpen help as well. Don't be shocked by that. Don't be surprised. Be ready. Second base, third base situation. Third base, they want to upgrade. So, defensively, it's not ideal to have Jeff Mcgill there, which makes you head scratch about Adam Frazier. I understand that. But offensively, you see the upside in that scenario at least. Then, if you want to focus on anything else, you surely can. But remember, guys, the Mets are going to go in various routes, okay? They're not going to go for one. They're not going to go for multiple. So just remember that. And the final thing I want to say, too, is Sledge here said, how about Italy? Yes, I know. Italy. If you guys don't know, if you're not soccer fans, I mean, I'm Italian more than anything, so I've been rooting for them. They're now going to the finals, so I'm absolutely pumped for them. I know Sledge comments because he normally talks about Juventus with me because Juventus is my favorite soccer team, and they play in Italy. So with that being said, Richie, I think it's time to take callers. And what did you just say? What did you say? Ba?
No, Ta?
Oh, okay.
Italians.
Okay, so we're going to be taking callers now, guys. And if you don't know the drill by now, please listen to this. If you're going to call in, one, please be fairly short. We'll be taking upwards of 5 callers, okay? But just be respectful of that. 2, be respectful in the sense of don't say anything stupid, please. We're talking about the Mets. Ask a question, share a comment, concern, whatever you have. And 3, when you come in to the stream and give your little stance on whatever it is regarding the Mets, when you put your name in, please put your actual name to whatever your YouTube handle is, so that way we know who it is. That way we can actually ask you who you are. We know if, say, you're a returning viewer, subscriber, or whatever it's going to be if you're watching this live right now, guys. So that being said, we're going to get right into it now, folks. So if you have any comments or questions real quick that you want to ask, you surely can go ahead, but we're now going to take upwards of 5 callers before we wrap up the stream. And please make sure to smash that like and subscribe on again if you've been enjoying today's stream of this new episode of New York Mets Talk, myself alongside Richie and Mets Media. Love and appreciate you guys. If we get to 100 at some point, that would really mean a lot to me. So thank you so much for the continued support, everybody. So now we're going to take some live callers and get this stream link into all you beauties. Richie, quick question. So regarding the Mets going into this series now against the Pirates, is there one player that you think might be a standout?
Brandon Nimmo. I think that his
safe pick.
He kind of really is insane. Like he's such a unique player. He had an at-bat last night where it was just awesome. Like it was so awesome. Like any baseball fan respects Brandon Nimmo. It was a full count. There was 2 pitches that were like borderline strikes, and he just, barely swings, but gets a piece of it, fouls it off, keeps the bat alive, and then he draws a walk. His plate discipline, his ability to drive the ball the opposite direction in the gap for doubles, to get on base, it really is awesome. And I forgot, I think Steve Gelbs mentioned this. What Brandon Nimmo brings to the lineup that is so valuable is he is such a good plate discipline where he can get a feel of what the pitcher's going to do. So people behind him like Lindor and Dom Smith and Alonso, they get an idea of what's coming. And because they cannot pitch around Brandon Nimmo or otherwise they'll walk him. So Brandon Nimmo's my pick. If he has another series where he is batting like well over 300 or 400, it's going to help out with this offense. And obviously we need the people behind Nimmo to step up in order for us to score runs, because Nimmo's not going to, hit a lot of home runs, which he has in the past, but it doesn't seem like he's on that trajectory this season. But we need Lindor, Dom Smith, Pete, all these guys to drive in Nimmo when he gets on base, because he gets on base so efficiently. It's insane.
I know, and that's why I love him. I think that's what we all love most about him and how he does it. He's so infectious. I've never seen a guy so genuinely happy to sprint down the first. Like he's always grateful. He's always staying humble. There's so many things to love about Brandon Nimmo, not just from a player perspective, but personality wise. He's just an absolute beauty. So that's a great pick for me on this series against the Pirates. I'm going to probably go with, as much as I want my man Michael to break out, I'm honestly going to go with Dom Smith in this series. I think Dom's been swinging the bat really, really well, and I think he's going to continue to. I like some of the matchups I'm seeing. Righty or lefty, Dom does really well. So I think Dom's been in an upwards direction as of late, and I don't think that's going to stop against the Pirates. So I'm going to go with Dom Smith in the series, but you could, of course, choose a lot of different guys. And I already see we have 5 callers lined up, guys. So if these 5 stay true, these will probably be the only 5 callers we take today. But if you still want to call in and wait, you surely can. I just don't want to give you guys false hope. So keep that in mind, but we're going to get to our first caller now. That's going to be Brandon. So let's see. Brandon, can you hear me, buddy?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. How are you, my man?
What's up, Brandon?
Good. Good. How are you?
Good, man.
So I just wanted to basically go into talks about Lindor a little bit.
Sure.
So one thing I've been noticing about Lindor, his plate appearances are just not himself. Like back when he was when he was with the Cleveland Indians, he would have all these great at bats, but it's just now I feel like he's not seeing it well at the plate. Like in big spots, I just feel like he looks at the moment too much, and he gets a little carried away with himself. So I just wanted to go into little talks about, just, how Lindor can maybe, up his game a little bit other than his defense.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. I think you want to take it first.
No, you can go ahead, Richie. Take it away.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because Francisco Lindor obviously started off the season worse than we can ever expect. And then in his last 30 games, he's been playing well. He has a couple clutch RBIs, clutch hits, if we forget. That walk-off against the Colorado Rockies in Denver. And then a couple games ago, he had the game-winning, I think it was against the Braves. James McCann hit that 3-run home run, and then Lindor, with a man on second, drived in the winning run late in the game. But last night, he was up at the plate, bases loaded, no outs, and he struck out. And then Dom Smith and Pete Alonso struck out as well. So Francisco Lindor, obviously he's not playing the way that we expected him with the contract we gave him at the plate in particular. He does not have quality at bats at times. He sometimes doesn't swing, and we saw Lindor get really upset for the first time as a Met, slamming his bat. I think it was more of upset of himself for not swinging. A lot of people assume that he was mad at the umpire. I think that was self-frustration just coming out of him. But Lindor's career on the Indians, he's always been decent in the first half. He's been known to be a second half player that is the best in the postseason. And if that is true for the Mets, that's going to be huge. If Lindor can have a great second half and be that great postseason player, because if you guys forget, the Cleveland Indians went to the World Series, and Lindor is a big reason for it. He had a deep playoff push. So I understand what you're saying. Lindor definitely does not look super comfortable, the Lindor that we thought that we're getting at the plate. But me personally, he's shown me signs of being clutch, and he's shown me signs of being able to get on base when he needs to. And he shows some signs where he does not be clutch. But the way I look at it is, if he did not have any clutch moments up until this point, no game-winning hits, no clutch RBIs late, it would be a little concerning. But he has definitely showed that, to me personally, that he has that clutch gene in him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think hitting wise, I'm not as concerned with his swing or his approach as you are, mainly because I've seen him really hit strides over the past month and a half. He's looking a lot better at the plate, in my opinion. And Lindor, while he has not gone on that official quote unquote hot streak yet, he has had a little spurts continuously. And if you add up all those little spurts, Lindor has done really, really well as of late. We're talking easily a month and a half to 2 months of baseball now where he's hitting the ball pretty well, where I'm feeling a lot more confident than what I was earlier in the season when everyone was viewing this as the end all, right, where he didn't get simply any hits. But I like Lindor. I think he's doing a lot better. He consistently is getting at least a hit a game. He's getting on base a lot. Remember, Lindor has a great eye. Yes, he swing and misses. Yes, he has a huge struggle when it comes to off-speed pitches, mainly that curveball. It just eats him up like crazy down and out of the zone. I don't know what it is about that curveball. He's just been sucking against it all year. Something that he needs to continue to work on whenever he's gained more time to be in the cage and going into the offseason too. Really something I think he should heavily address his off-speed pitches. But no less, he gets on base playing. He's getting walked. He's either getting walked, hit by pitch, which doesn't happen as often, or just simply gain a nice base hit. So defensively, Lindor, I know he's had a little bit of his struggles at times throughout the year. I know that error against the Yankees wasn't helpful, and that what easily would have been a double play that ended up costing Stroman some unearned runs. But no less, Lindor is one of the best gloves in all the infield and one of the best gloves in all baseball, and that should not be underestimated. What he does on a night-to-night basis completely highlights and makes you overlook all the negatives, because the negatives simply don't outweigh the positives by any stretch of the imagination defensively for me. So yeah, that's really my stance on it. And any final questions or comments you have, Brandon, before we get you out of here, buddy?
Yeah, just one last thing I'll go into real quick, because I know you got probably other callers. So
Sure.
like, I think now the most likeliest trade to happen for the Mets now is Donaldson and Barrios, because I've been hearing a lot of stuff on SNY, a lot of stuff from Andy Martino talking about on how it's like most likely for the Mets to get Josh Donaldson and for the Mets to get Jose Barrios. I think that that would be a really good glove to their rotation, because he's just a really good player in general. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I would love Barrios and Donaldson. We talked about that in our previous video on Donaldson and in general with Barrios as well. So check those videos out if you haven't on the channel already, guys. Had a lot of fun making them. But Donaldson is currently on the IL, which is always concerning for a guy, especially of his age now, the age of 35. He's not getting any younger. So that's something that the Mets are worried about. And could that very well go in hand with maybe them looking at other guys like Frazier? Possibly. Surely could be a possibility there. But I would love that. I really would. Richie, would you be in favor of that deal? Should it happen?
It's going to be interesting to see when it comes to who the Mets bring in at the trade deadline, whether it's Barrios, whether it's, I know that Donaldson's kind of off the Mets radar, according to a report, whether it's Frazier. I'm open to any scenario where the Mets do not sacrifice their future a little too much in order to bring in a guy that will bring quality, an impact, because we're trying to win it this year. This is a team that's built to win the World Series right now and for the future. So I'm open to any scenario that this front office has. I have the belief in them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, Martino, you always got to take him with a grain of salt. I said that all offseason long. So we'll see how truthful his reports are, because I know John Heyman had a contradicting one that there was nothing on Donaldson. But remember, Mets have made plenty of moves going back in the offseason where we did not know anything. No reports indicate anything until it actually happened. The most famous one was, in fact, Francis Lindor and Cookie coming to Queens. So, Brandon, thank you so much for calling in, buddy. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Keep up the good
appreciate
vids.
you, buddy. All right, so now let's get into our next couple callers. Thank you so much for Brandon. A good sport there. Let's get into our next caller, and Terrence. Terrence, do you hear me, my friend?
Hey, how we doing, guys?
You hear me?
Yeah,
What's up,
I
Terrence?
hear you. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect.
All right, cool.
What's up, buddy?
Cool. Yeah, you guys kind of addressed it with the first caller, but I wanted to get into the trade talks I've been hearing about Adam Frazier. I just don't know how I feel about that, because I feel as though if we bring him in, we got to move Mcneil to third base, but then third base is going to be a little crowded with JD. We have Villar. So I feel as though, how do you guys feel about bringing in Frazier, and what do you think we would have to give up for him if in the case that we do get him?
Okay. Well, yeah, I think we touched on that fairly well already and in my video, but to expand on it more, I like the positives for Frazier a lot. I do think the positives outweigh the negatives. Again, I know Frazier is not a Gold Glove defensively, but nor do the Mets need Frazier to be a Gold Glove second baseman, and nor do they need Mcneil to be a Gold Glove third baseman. It's a very similar scenario where if the Mets land Chris Bryant, he's not a Gold Glove third baseman. We know this, but he brings stability at the position. And I know that Mcneil lacks that stability because he hasn't played there the majority of the year. But McNeil's versatile. I think he can get the job done. And I think Frazier's bat just truly outweighs everything else. And my only concern with Adam Frazier really isn't as much on the defensive side of the ball with what the repercussions would be, but it would rather be what you would have to give up to get him because of how hot of a commodity he is. Like I said, the White Sox are all in on this guy, according to numerous reports over the last couple of days. I've seen a very similar report with San Francisco. John Heyman talked about both these guys in his radio show, at least he was on a radio show where he said how both the White Sox and the Giants are really, really honing in on Adam Frazier, and those are just a couple of many other teams. So that is a concern for me, because anytime you get in a bidding war, you're going to have to cough up more than you really more. You're biting off more than you probably chew, that you should at least. And the Mets are smart. So I do think that the Mets are only going to land Adam Frazier if they get him for the price they feel is worthy, and not so much of getting in a bidding war. They avoided plenty of that in the offseason. They didn't avoid that with Trevor Bauer, as we know, but I think that they are very strategic about the moves and decisions they make. So I think the haul, you're looking at potentially a Mark Vientos. I think he's a coveted prospect that would easily be part of a deal. I talked about him. I talked about some others as well. So I don't want to break down too much because it kind of spoils the video, but definitely check it out if you haven't already. But that would kind of be my stance currently on the matter. I see the negatives to the scenario, but I think the upside is far more relevant than the downsides. And would you agree or disagree with that notion, Richie?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. This is the whole reality when you're front office in any sport. You have to give up something in order to get something. So what do we give up? Do we give up a top prospect? Do we give up a player that's on the roster right now? Or Mark Vientos, who is a guy that's red hot right now in the minor league system? My big concern is giving up a player that we're going to regret in the future. I just don't like that feeling of giving up a prospect that we all have been following for so long, and then he's on another team, and then we get Frazier and he walks in free agency, or he's not somebody. But that's the risk with any trade. But when it comes to him hypothetically coming to the Mets, say we do get the deal done, and when it comes to the crowded third baseman position, that's going to be interesting, because we know Frazier is versatile. He can play in the left field or right field. He's a corner outfielder as well. But the outfield is crowded. We have Dom Smith playing left field, who's actually playing pretty good defensively there. And obviously Conforto's struggling in right field, but we're not going to replace him. He's gonna get it going. I really do believe that. So if we do get Frazier, it's so crowded. But when it comes to depth, that's where you can look at it. J.D. Davis has been injured all year. We don't know if he's going to be coming back in rhythm. Say we do acquire Frazier. Frazier's the second baseman. Mcneil moves to third permanently, and the outfield stays the same. J.D. Davis, VR, Guillorme all come off the bench in roles. And we know injuries happen, off days happen. So that's a deep bench. So maybe that's what the Mets are looking at. Maybe they can tell Mcneil, say, hey, do you feel comfortable? You've played third base. You have experience there. We're going to move you there. We're going to get Frazier. We need offense more than anything, because that's what they're looking at right now. What is the weakness for this Mets club right now? It's offense. It's scoring runs. If we can score runs at a consistent basis, this team is it's going to be beyond good. We're going to be elite. We're going to be a top 5 team in the MLB. That's how much confidence I have in this ball club. If we can just get consistent hitting, and Frazier is exactly what we need. We can plug him in the heart of the lineup when runners in scoring position. Hopefully Frazier can bring him in, obviously, if he becomes a Met. So that's what I think what would happen if he does come to the Mets. I feel like Frazier would be the second baseman. McNeil move to third. The outfield would stay the same. And then JD would have to get used to be coming off the bench, because he's been injured all year and he hasn't been in rhythm. So that's what I would think would happen if he does become a Met.
For sure. Yeah, I was kind of late to the live stream. I didn't know you guys touched on it earlier. My bad about that. But yeah, for sure. I think I agree with that for sure. That's our biggest weakness right now. Once we get our bats going, I think the sky's the limit, honestly, because I also feel I'm pretty confident in Carrasco too. I know he's coming back end of July, early August, but I feel like once we get him back, the team will be well rounded out. So for sure, man. Thanks to you guys getting me a call in though, for sure.
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, appreciate you, my man. Awesome questions. I love some of the comments and concerns we get from people. They really open a great discussion. So now let's get into our next one. I know this is going to be a good one because this is a great member. And Larry, my man, how are you, buddy? How are you feeling? How's that going?
Good. I've been buying a lot of old Mets merchandise from Goodwill, and I've been buying Mets clock, Mets bobbleheads, like Mets pictures from 1986, Mike Piazza stuff, and I'm setting my room up like a museum. Yep.
Awesome.
And,
I'm jealous. You're getting it all pimped out.
Yep. And I've been even buying other stuff. I don't want to even mention the other teams. The other teams, the other New York teams I've been buying. But I'm even wearing the 2015 Mets playoff hat. The postseason.
Is that what you're wearing?
Love
I
that.
noticed
Yep.
that. That's awesome.
Yep. And I can't wait for Peraza to come back. And the relief pitcher is coming back from the relief pitcher is also coming back. I forgot. He was from the Yankees. I forgot his name.
Betances?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out for the
Um,
season.
Oh, he's out for the season.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He actually had season-ending surgery a couple days ago.
Oh, all right. So, Carrasco's coming back. So
Yep.
that's like a trade. That's like a trade already. And but hopefully the Mets don't do too many trades because we're a good team already as it is, and we're in first place. And I'm glad we beat the Yankees this weekend.
Yes, we did.
Yep. And we beat the Milwaukee Brewers, and let's go. Hopefully we beat the Brewers. Let's beat the Brewers. Let's beat the Pirates this weekend. Let's
Beat the Pirates.
beat the Pirates. Yep.
Absolutely, Larry. Yes, you're preaching to the choir here. Hopefully they can win this series against the Pirates now. It'll be huge. So, Larry, I appreciate you calling in, my friend. Is there any final comments you'd like to give before we get you out of here?
Yeah. I hear Jacob deGrom might want to pitch Sunday. So let him pitch Sunday, Jacob.
Yep. Yeah, he might pitch
Let him
Sunday,
pitch
correct.
Sunday. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And let's hope some of the Mets represent the All-Star game next week. Yeah. Let's hope we have some representatives in the All-Star game next week. And don't get hurt.
Hopefully Walker can get in.
Yeah, don't get hurt in the All-Star game. We need to.
Yes, absolutely, Larry. Well, again, I appreciate you calling in, my friend. I appreciate all the kind things. I have your mug right by me that you sent me a little while ago. So thank you again for that, my friend. And I look forward to talking to you again soon, okay?
Have a good one, Larry. Appreciate it.
Bye, Larry.
And nice to meet you, Richie.
Nice to meet you too, man.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, Larry's awesome. Love Larry.
Yeah.
And all right, guys. So we have at least, I know we have a couple more. We're going to be taking 1 to 2 more callers though, and then we're going to be getting out here, guys. So if you didn't make the cut today, I do apologize. Please don't take it personally. It's just because of the actual time and how long this takes and what we have for the remainder of the day. But we do have Daniel, and I know Daniel has called in before. So how are you, my friend?
I did. I'm all right. Little down and out because the Cubs have been struggling, but you remember I told you about Chris Bryant and trading for Chris Bryant and stuff?
Yes, I remember that conversation. If you guys don't know, Daniel is a big Cubs fan, by the way.
Oh, what's up, Daniel?
I'm a Mets fan too. I love the Mets, Yankees.
Awesome.
You know, I'm okay. I like the Red Sox too. Anything.
Okay, you like a bunch of
Yankees. Yeah, I'm on your side.
Good.
But yeah,
Glad to have
I
you
was
on.
wondering about trading with Matt. Trade.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? You cut out, Daniel.
What would be a fair trade with the Cubs and the Mets? What would we give you in return, and what can you give us in return?
For Bryant?
Bryant or Baez or Jason Hayward, if we still have them, I don't even know. But like anybody,
Okay.
like
All right.
it can help you with getting and help us, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, I would say that regarding Bryant, that's, I think, the only guy we could really talk about. I don't see Baez being dealt to the Mets, and I don't see Hayward either. I don't think Mets would have any interest in Hayward. But I will say regarding Bryant, I think that very much the potential's there, but it comes down more with the Cubs than I think it does the Mets, because the Cubs in the offseason, as we know, were very stingy. with holding firm to what they wanted to get in return for Bryant, and that was headlined by Francisco Alvarez, who is the Mets' top prospect. So I don't know exactly what kind of deal we'd be looking at this point in time. It really, really, really does come down to the Cubs. But yeah, Richie, is there any kind of final thoughts you'd like to give on that? It really depends. I feel like, yes, the Cubs are going to be sellers by the trade deadline. They have been absolutely free falling, as we know, in the NL Central. But to suggest what you're going to give up for Bryant, I think it really is in hand more so with what the Cubs are asking and how many buyers there are outside the Mets, because I doubt the Mets would be the only team showing interest in Bryant like they've been for a little bit now.
Yeah, I think the Mets have been, connected to Chris Bryant since the offseason. So we'll see if it gets done. I don't know if it will, but I don't know. I feel like the compensation is going to be up in the air. It's really hard to think of trade scenarios, but the Cubs might be sellers at the deadline for sure.
Yeah, Daniel, I'm sorry, but you're cutting off pretty bad. So I'm going to probably have to cut you out here. I don't know why there's poor connection. My apologies, buddy, but I appreciate your question. I appreciate you waiting, my man. So have a good rest of your day. Yeah, I unfortunately, connection's been really bad with some people, not just that I've called in, like myself. That's why I normally start these streams up late, because of that reason. So my apologies, Daniel, but we'll definitely try to get you in another time without there being a poor connection or anything like that. But we're going to get into our last caller now, and that's going to end the stream, and that is going to be Jake talking sports. So let's get Jake in here and see if he can hear us in the connection as well. Do you hear me, buddy? Jake, you there?
What's up, Jake?
Okay, well, okay. I don't know. Connection's not working with some people, but no less, that's fine. That's going to end the stream, guys. So I hope you guys appreciate the callers. They're always a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing that. So as always, thank you so much to everyone that chimed in throughout the stream. I see Louie. I see everybody in here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next stream. Ideally, I would love to stream tomorrow's game for the Mets. The time recording this, so stay tuned for that. It all goes in hand, however, to see if it's actually going to get rained out or not. Because again, the weather tonight doesn't look good. It's thunderstorming outside my place, and I don't even live in New York. I live in Pennsylvania. So all this area, it's not looking too hot. So we'll see. But no less, make sure to check out the last video on the channel on Adam Frazier. If you haven't, make sure to check out Richie's videos, or if you want to see a more in-depth recap again on the series win against the Brewers, and also his video short breakdown on the Mets not having Jacob deGrom in the All-Star game because he chose to not be a part of it. So, Richie, any final words before we get out of tonight's stream, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the weather, and it's absolutely insane that there's not one sunny day on the broadcast in New York for like a week straight. So
Great.
That's driving me crazy. I don't know what's wrong with the New York weather, but hopefully that we can get through this season without any more rainouts. I can't take these games. Hopefully we can get the game in tonight, but it doesn't look that good. But guys, we appreciate all the support on Mets Media and WardyNYM. Without you guys, this is not possible. All the you guys talking and debating in the live chat, it's awesome. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you like this stream if you guys did not already. Thumbs it up. Subscribe to Wardy and subscribe to Mets Media. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. And that does it for this episode of Mets Talk. We'll catch you guys after the Pittsburgh Pirates series over on my channel, and we'll see you guys then. Let's go Mets.
Awesome. Yes. Appreciate everyone. Dave, have a great night. Awesome subscriber. Expect an email soon, buddy. Jesse, Brennan, Nolan, a great member on the channel. Sorry, buddy. You caught us right at the end. And everyone else. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Love you. Talk to you soon. Let's go Mets, baby.